Hello YouTube, this is Bit from Set 3 Impasse, and today I'm going to show you a deck profile that I'm super excited about. I've been trying to make this deck for a very long time, ever since Burst of Destiny got announced, and I saw these little birds. I thought, you know what, I really want to make this deck. But at the time, I think they were missing a key component, which has come out now in Battle of Chaos, so I'm really excited about this deck, if I'm honest. And why wouldn't you be excited? I mean, look at the artwork, it looks amazing. So yeah, before we get into deck profile, if you could subscribe, like, and comment anything good or positive or negative, sorry, I would really appreciate it because this is what helps us get better. Anyway, let's get into the deck profile. Now, I'll try to do a weaknesses as well, or an alternative to some of the cards in this deck. But this is a really budget-friendly deck, guys and girls. I feel like you could get away with a lot of things in this deck. You could compete head-to-head with some of the meta decks using this deck, and it's really cheap. I think the most expensive card is just one of the cards in the deck, which I'll show you in a few minutes. But other than that, this is an extremely budget-friendly deck. And who doesn't like Scythe not affecting their deck? I mean, this deck is genuinely not affected by Artifact Scythe. And I have a feeling so many people are going to be playing that one card, this format, that this deck just laughs through all of that. Anyway, let's begin. Right, so we play 3 of the main bird. I'll try to explain what they do, but I think everyone knows them by now. But just in case you don't, I do apologize. I'm just going to quickly go through them. When you normal summon any of the birds, by the way, they have an effect. And if that effect resolves successfully, you get to immediately normal summon again. So you could literally normal summon 6-7 times on your turn by just one of the effects going through, as long as you know what you're doing. And again, if I didn't already mention it, this does make this deck Nibiru proof. You don't need to special summon at all. Now, what Robina does, she or he gets a level 4 lower wing beast, and then once you get that, you immediately normal summon. And usually, you want to go to Eaglin. And what Eaglin does, Eaglin gets a level 7 wing beast or higher, and you can normal summon after that. And then I've chosen Stree. Stree is basically you normal summon Stree, and you get to choose a card in either graveyard, banish it, and if you do, get to normal summon again. And one of the toucan. I think this is the right ratio. I could be wrong, but in my testing, I played against some friends on the weekend, and I thought this was pretty good in terms of that. The toucan just gets any banished Floowandereeze card and add it back to your hand. So it could also be a spell card, it could be a monster, it's up to you. Right, and for the spells, you have the field spells, Floowandereeze and the Magnificent Map. This is an amazing card. It's so cracked because what it does is you can reveal one Floowandereeze level 1 in your hand and then banish another one with a different name and then immediately normal summon. And if you're following me, all the birds that are banished, the Floowandereeze ones, if you summon a wing beast type, you get to add them back into your hand. So this is one of your combo starters as well. And this is a new card I was talking about, the Advent of Adventure. This card is absolutely cracked. People used Book of Moon because this card did not exist. And whilst I think Book of Moon is still an amazing alternative, there is nothing that any other card does that this card does. So what this card does, it banishes one winged beast monster from your hand or face up on the field. And then you can add a Floowandereeze field spell or a monster card from your deck to your hand. And then, for some reason, you gain 500 life points for doing that. So if you're playing against Sword Soul and they start burning you for 1200 because of Long Yun, you actually get some life points back. Amazingly cracked card. And I play 1 Unexplored Winds and 1 Dreaming Town. I haven't used this much, but I think it's a card I have to keep in there because one of the abilities is that you can put any 2 Wing Beast monsters at the back of your, up to, so you can even choose 1 in the bottom of your deck and then draw how many Wing Beasts you put. Dreaming Town is usually the one you always want to see. You always want to have this in your hand. And what this does is in the main phase, so usually your opponent's main phase, immediately after the effect resolves, you get to normal summon 1 level 4 Wing Beast monster. And then the cool thing is, if this is in the graveyard and you normal summon a level 7, I believe, or higher monster while it's in the graveyard, you can banish it. And then it'll Book of Moon all of your opponent's field, which is absolutely cracked. Okay, so for the other monsters, I am playing the Barrier Statue. Usually this stops most decks in their tracks, unless they're running, I believe it's Gadala, whichever the Wind Kaiju is. I play 2 Floowandereeze and M-Pen. This is usually what you want to end your board on. And what this one does, it lets you special summon, sorry, it lets you normal summon again once its effect resolves. But the main thing is you get a Floowandereeze spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. And the other thing is, this is literally a skill drain for all special summon monsters. So anything that's in attack mode, that's special summon, doesn't get its effect. Which is really, really good. And the other thing is they cannot activate their effects as well. So something like Prank Kids monsters, where they have to tribute themselves, well, you can't, I don't think you can if this one is on the field. I'm not too sure of that, I will check, but yeah. And the other thing is, if this one battles or it's battled by a monster, you can banish one card from your hand and then it halves the attack, so it's pretty good. One Mist Valley, Apex Avian, Omni Negate, searchable, and also you can usually cheese them out in ridiculous ways. Okay, and the one card that you just cannot get an alternative to is Rise of the Mega Monarch. I think this card at the moment is sitting at maybe 35 to 40 Great British pounds. I'm not entirely sure what the price is. I was quite lucky. I actually got it really, really cheap before Burst of Destiny came out, when the birds were making a massive splash in the OCG. So I was like, I need to get my hand on this card before it rises in price. And that's probably the only amazing investment I've made in Yu-Gi-Oh! The fact I got this card for ridiculously cheap. But yeah, there's not many alternatives to this card, unfortunately. And this is the one card that just pushes this deck out of budget, I would say. But you do need it because there's nothing in Yu-Gi-Oh! That does what Riser does. So for those of you that don't know, is if he's tribute summoned, target one card on the field and one in either player's graveyard, and you get to put them back on top of the deck. And you can choose the order. But if you tribute summon him with a wind monster, which is pretty much all of your deck, you actually choose an extra target and you can put that extra target back into the hand. And usually you want to recur Riser. You're going to put him back into your hand so you can use him again using your Floowandereeze spell or traps. So you could potentially Riser twice a turn. And even if you don't bring him back, he's an amazing card. 2800, it's quite a good beat stick. Okay, and then for the quote-unquote hand traps, I play 3 Dimension Shifter. This deck doesn't really mind if anything goes banished, so this is good. Plus the deck can play Dimension Shifter, so play Dimension Shifter. There's no reason why not to. I play the 2 Ash Blossom. I tried to fit 3 in here, but I want to keep a consistent 40. I don't want to go over 40, so I think 2 is good. I play 1 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, mainly because of Brave package. Baron, at worst, this is a 1-for-1. They'll negate something of yours and, you just get rid of their thing with whatever this is. So it's not that bad in that sense. And I also play 1 DD Crow, searchable, like the cards in the deck. Good for DPE. You also have Strive for DPE, but this is also good as well. And you can also get rid of a lot of effects that activate in the graveyard by banishing them, so they won't get their abilities as per the new rules. And I played 3 Dark Ruler normal. Now this card is one I'm testing. The reason why I play it is because I think people are going to set up a lot of boards this format. And I think this format is it's going to be very heavily reliant on who wins the dice roll. And if you do use the dice roll, then this is a good backup to have. But I could change it. See, I don't think Nibiru is that impactful this format, because if people are going to be playing the Brave token, I know Sword Soul will get the, I believe it's the Griffin, the Wandering Griffin Rider, and that will sort of cancel out Nibiru, and that's less than 5 summons. I think it's something like 2. So I don't think Nibiru is that great. And the reason why I thought about this deck is I don't really want to draw anything dead cards. I mean, if you draw this and you have 1 card in your hand, well, you draw it and it's GG anyway. Okay, right. So, and then the pot cards. So 3 Extravagance and 3 Duality. Apologies. You don't care about your extra deck anyway. You never special summon, so these are sort of free cards, and you want to draw 2. Now these would be Pot of Prosperities, but Pure and Simple I can't afford those cards and they're way too expensive. And I did say this was sort of like a budget deck. These are really cheap. I think you can pick up a set for less than £30. I think I got my set for £7 a card, £7, sorry, a card. And I traded for some others. So, these are quite nice budget friendly cards. Okay, and then I'll play the one-offs. I'll try to explain why I'm using the one-offs. So Duster, back heavy decks, Call by the Grave, always need that. And the last one I'll play is Gold Sarcophagus. And the reason being is you can banish a bird if you only have one bird. So if you want to search out a starter with this, you sort of use this to put the bird that you need, the card you need, into the banish pile. Normal summon whatever card you have, and usually if it resolves, you're sort of full combo again. So this is pretty good. This plus the advent of adventure is like having 4 rotors in your deck for the birds. Okay, and that rounds up the main deck. And now the extra deck. Now for the extra deck, you could literally have 15 KFC vouchers if you really wanted to. I've never used the extra deck. There is some thought behind the extra deck, so that's why I feel pretty bad that I never use it, but pretty much this is just fodder. You could have whatever you want in here, and that's the beauty about this deck. Because you're never using an extra deck, for the most part, whatever you put in here doesn't matter, and you know, that's the beauty. That's why I think it's budget. Anyway, so I have 1 Tresbina, 1 Akashic Magician, 1 Borrelguard. Okay, now the ones I thought about are these 2 Ferrigit, in case of Maximus, and I will, from going forward from here, I'll just say it's literally because of Maximus. Most of the stuff I've added in here. She can fix hands, you know, draw 1, put 1 back, that sort of thing. Shireg, if you've got a bird banish, you can add a bird when he's sent. That's what he's there for. 3 Chaos Goddess, cheapest card available. It looked pretty cool. Anime. Frame Lord Omega, again because of the Maximus, send him, you can put a card back and him. I do play the Zeus package. I don't have a Downward Magician, otherwise I'd put a Downward Magician in here, but I've never ever summoned these cards, so there's literally no need for them. And I wish I had a third, but because I only have two Elder Entity Entus. Why? Because of the Maximus. Again, most of this is just purely because of Maximus. Okay, and now we'll go through the side deck. Now the side deck is pretty much very format reliant, reliant on what locals you've got. This is just reflection of my locals and what I play against most of the time, so yours could change. 3 Token Collector, Brave Package, and the Sword Soul, amazing card. 3 Droll. I don't think Droll is this impactful this format, mainly because Drytron's not a massive threat, but when people activate the Rite of Aramesia or the Water Enchantress, you do this and that usually kind of stops them from going into crazy plays. It doesn't fully stop them, but you know, if they have got nothing in their hand, they just sort of turn pass. 3 Lancia. This hurts you as well, but for the most part, I think it hurts them, your opponent, more than it'll hurt you. And I've played around Lancia so many times. It's not an issue in this deck, honestly, guys and girls. It's not an issue. 3 Cyclone if you come against the skill drain / quote-unquote fun decks that nobody wants to play against. I play 1 Pank, and the reason why I play Pank is just to get rid of stuff, problematic stuff, and to also bait out negates. Just remember, if you do Pankatops, you can't do duality in the same turn, so be very careful. If you've got this on duality in the same hand, try to think what's more beneficial to you, because you know, if you special summon him, you cannot use duality. I play 1 Red Reboot, just trap decks. I haven't come across many, but I think the one time I actually drew this card was against an Eldritch player. It kind of messed up his entire game, and you know, it was good when it works. When it doesn't work, it's trash. Okay, and the last card I play is a Dark Simorgh. Yeah, this is pretty much just for trap decks. When you summon Dark Simorgh, they cannot set any cards at all, and that includes trap cards and monsters, so I think this is pretty good for that reason. Anyway guys, the next bit I'm going to do is the weaknesses of this deck and maybe some alternatives, so I'll catch you then. Thank you for watching.